Hello viewers, my name is Adam.
And I'm here.
This Seeking Me Productions bring you another movie review.
So, we got to watch Project Hail Mary. Now, with this particular movie, and the actor that was supposed to be like the main character of this, a lot of, I would say, is on the line.
Yeah, and thankfully, after this the initial opening weekend of this movie, it looks like Ryan Gosling finally found his footing here.
Could it be? Oh my god, this would be amazing for him.
Yeah, like he's been struggling trying to find a consistent audience. Usually he's been typecast as the
heartthrob
that you mainly gears towards leading male in a more female-oriented movie.
Which, honestly, at the end of the day, is the main reason why I think a lot of male fan bases just haven't really gravitated to him as much as they want, as they honestly, should. Because he's talented. Yeah. He's an amazing actor, and I absolutely loved him in almost every film that I've actually seen from him.
And the mere fact that when he was trying to cater towards a more male-oriented route with trying to play a more stoic, male characters.
Think about Drive and then Blade Runner.
The other space movie, First Man.
Exactly.
Yeah, he has trouble. But I feel as though that going forward, instead of catering more towards the stoic male figure, maybe he leans more towards the everyday man.
With his comedic touch, because he, along so much other things, the guy's hilarious.
Mm-hmm. And him pairing up with the directors of Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who are very humorous directors in their own right with their filmography, the Lego Movie, Cloudy Trans Meatballs, the 21 Jump Street movies. I feel like he should probably be partnering with them going forward. Sometimes a director, finding that directors that have a keen eye with your talents is a good fit.
It's just true. But where does Ryan find himself within this project? Basically, the story that we follow ourselves in Project Hail Mary centers itself around Grace, who's a middle school teacher who's basically been run into that profession thanks to being laughed out and if not completely ostracized from the scientific community, thanks to his unique approach towards the concept of how life might exist beyond our own world. And from that, he's given a rare opportunity to basically prove his point. But that quickly evolves into a race against the clock for saving not only our world, but quite possibly multiple others.
Mm-hmm. So, Project Hail Mary is based on the best-selling novel by Andy Weir. Andy Weir is also known for another book called The Martian, which was also adapted as a film that was directed by Ridley Scott, played by starring Matt Damon as the main character.
Which actually, at this point now, I'm starting to see a particular pattern develop. So it's an interesting one. I mean, it definitely seems like it works.
And both those movies, despite having different directors and different studios under their belt, this one being helmed by Amazon MGM Studios. They shared the screenwriter of Drew Goddard, and it's a good thing that Andy Weir announced that there's another sci-fi novel that he's working on, so maybe he should keep an eye on that.
Yes, sure.
Why Project Hail Mary shares with The Martian is not only just being a space movie, falls into the category of hard science fiction.
Now, in this particular category, that means they utilize actual testable scientific facts to actually move the momentum of the movie along. So a lot of this stuff is that you can really actually look into, and is either working off of already credible theories within the realm of the scientific world, or is in the plausible section.
Mm-hmm. We have different types of science being at play here, from astrophysicists, engineering, interstellar travel, time dilation, even linguistics is involved in this, and also biology. And that plays into, even though those are being hardcore elements, thoroughly at play here, the movie doesn't forget that it has is wearing its heart on its sleeve very much so, as it harpers on the concept of him being a lone scientist out in space trying to figure out a very near apocalyptic problem.
And along this journey ends up meeting yet another character, which I feel as though also ties together a lot of the heart that is around this particular project.
We have a situation where the reason how he finds himself in this predicament is one of the two major realizations in the film that they're on, that I feel as though that for a movie that does still has a lot of these hard sci-fi concepts and is very much more on a more optimistic side of things, despite the stakes that are in play. Should have been a more of a serious undercurrent that definitely should have been at play here. It definitely, once we realize how he gets to the predicament he finds himself in.
Yeah, if this movie had allowed him to sit in the moment of the realization of how alone he was in certain respects, then I feel as though this would have went a long way to pushing it even higher, at least for us, in the category of movies that we find to be at the precipice of something.
The movie is pushing a little more past the 2.5 hour rate. A movie that was really, despite that long length, is paced very well.
Mm-hmm. You don't really ever feel that this movie is dragging in any particular sense. I felt like we was on the edge of your seat at each moment, trying to see as the story develops.
Mm-hmm. Is that there should have been more? There was areas at times where more emphasis on some dreadful situations could have been at play.
I mean, we're dealing with the concept of the end of the world here, and the isolation that space brings towards anybody who finds themselves within it.
Mm-hmm. And we discussing a lot about the isolation, and does deal with the very few characters that are at play here, despite the very fact that we are dealing with a global to intergalactic threat going on. Ryan Gosling, as we said, very talented person. His portrayal of Ryland Grace is whereas his very sensitive heart. We understand that he's a character who is very humble because of how humbled he was in his career.
Oh, Jesus.
You don't get more as humbling in your career as a middle school teacher.
Let's put it not to say anything is wrong with that. It's just teaching is a noble profession, but to be brought into the circumstance from where he originally was to having to go into, and it seems like he was able to transition well, considering at the end of the day
he found his calling.
He found his calling. His calling is science itself, and the sharing of it, and the exploration of it, which was awesome, is beautiful. But again, we just can't forget the elephants in the room, that he got there because of the strife and the difficulties that he actually had to overcome in order to actually see the light at the end of the tunnel.
It took the near end of the world for people to actually start realizing his what he can bring to the table.
Ain't that messed up? That's always the case.
And and in some ways he's kind of punished for that. In other ways, in which you'll see if you watch the movie.
I just can't help but think that this whole movie was pretty much Ryan Gosling's, mirror to the audience and himself. With his career,
he's a producer on this, so he is definitely he has so much at stake here.
It really was a Hail Mary.
Not only the characters, but also meta. This movie is for the most part a two-hander here.
Exactly.
Now the marketing, right off the bat, the first trailer, we're not going to hold your hand too much. This is a science fiction film, and most science fiction movies has
an alien in it, and
yes.
There's an alien in this film that Ryan Gosling has to work alongside with in order to find a solution to this intergalactic problem that is affecting not only Earth but this other world that the character that he affectionately terms in turn as Rocky exists at.
Yeah, this sentient a rock-like alien creature who is actually being puppeteered. He's on set. He's not like a CGI character.
No, he's
for
like
the most part.
you see him act wrong with this.
And he's mostly voiced by James Ortiz, who is the lead puppeteer of this character. What we have here is another example of a combination of not only voice acting talent, script writing, and also the special effects at work that help brings to life a character that calls to mind the works of Andy Serkis's many great creations that should be noticed even more so in the industry, but sadly doesn't. Unfortunately, they always get only undervalued, and I feel this is also one of those great character performances that are high, like working at a high level here.
And the puppeteering that is done for this character in this movie, you truly sympathize with this character on so many deep levels, as if he was truly a physical actor right there.
Sandra Hoyer plays a character by the name of Eva Straut, character who heads up the major scientific program that hires Ryan Gosling's Ryland Grace into the fold. Very stern and to the point character. She really shows off her very highest leadership skills
and vocal skills.
Yes. She's complicated, to say the least.
It's not an easy job when you are tasked with coming up with a solution to save the world, and you have to make hard decisions that normally anybody else would be amiss to even try and even contemplate. And she handles these situations with a grace and dignity that you honestly wouldn't be able to attribute to anybody else if they were in her shoes.
Moral ethics be damned.
Exactly.
We're talking about a character who's leading up a global, international front here. So you can understand the stakes at play. Mm-hmm. It's like to see that this film does how they showcase other many different faces around the world of the scientific minds trying to come up with, trying to work together. I wish we would have seen a lot more of that.
Yeah, actually. Honestly, I feel if they had sprinkled in a little bit of touches of other individuals being able to make
full-on characters.
Yeah, full-on, not only just full-on characters, but also their contributions being at play here, I feel as though this again would have been elements that would have pushed us even further for us.
The space crew that was going to be accompanying with Grace on the crew would have been a lot more beneficial to showcase more of them.
And those actors who played those crew members are very charismatic in and of themselves. So it's interesting that they didn't really get to have those moments for them, but
you get more of an impact with the other character, Lionel Boyce, who's played by officer of the security guard, who handles Grace. I like this character, and I've seen him in The Bear, and seeing that this actor gave another more chances out. It was like his presence was much helpful, especially with him bouncing off his interaction with Ryan Gosling. But with the overproduction here, this is a movie that Amazon essentially...
You see the money is on the screen. It's there. I feel as though a lot of the visuals behind the actual, the spaceships that we get to see, the scientific explorations that is at unfold, the lights that you see out there, the stars, all of it, I feel as though is it is beautiful. It's some of the best stuff that I've seen in a while.
Like, we don't get many singular one-shot space films like in every year. Yeah. So for a movie to be like a movie that we get every once in a while, something like this is a very visual treat. We're getting this is being shot main by Greg Fraser, who's is a very modern day cinematographer who's known for his works on Dune, The Mandalorian, and The Batman, who's really knows how to work with digital filmmaking with a practical sets alongside non-green screen work, because there's no green. They said there's no green screen work because there's more of a texture that you see,
and you can definitely feel it. I would just say this: probably one of my favorite things that this film brought here was the spaceship for Rocky. I feel as though having that almost what seems like a 3D printed concept out there in the cosmos was so cool to observe.
Now there are other like I would say visual phenomenon that the film will showcase that they are really well executed, but in some instances, I do wish that the film like lingered on them a little bit longer,
Yeah.
or expanded upon what we're seeing here, because a lot of times they do happen very quickly.
Yeah, it's almost like you blink and dismiss it kind of situation.
And one more other thing about production is the score by Daniel Pemberton, who's been working with Phil and Chris Miller for a while, with especially one of my favorite scores they did was with the Spider-Verse movies.
Mm-hmm.
This movie, with that film, he brings in the same creative energy that he brings with the music. That it showcases a lot of very different cultural influences that help highlight the more global impact of trying to other space exploration.
Everyone trying to come together. You see that and you feel it reverberated within the actual score itself.
Like it also has very organic orchestral instruments that it feels unorthodox in a way that very different from different space movies will convey, but is able to become more of have this own operatic unique sound. It's definitely right up there. Definitely see this if going down the line being nominated in very other musical awards. If the competition is not as
It's
steep.
just that we're rewinding the clock and we're just now back resetting the board. So if this is a first contender, I can't wait to see what everybody else brings to the table. But where does Project Hail Mary falls right now with us?
Project Hail Mary is, for as early as this film is in the year of 2026, this is definitely an amazing movie. This movie really did set
The bar is pretty high right now.
Yeah. Of course, we said our critiques on it. It's like we love the movie. It's actually like there's nothing wrong with wanting a little bit more.
Totally.
But it is a very solid film. What we have.
I could totally see myself rewatching this multiple times.
As much as I like The Martian, I do like this film a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see, like I watched that many times, I'm definitely seeing this. And Andy Weir, he definitely has a talent with writing hard sci-fi films that makes science enjoyable.
Exactly. Anytime you're actually able to sit me down and actually engross me with your scientific facts and I can follow it because you're actually explaining in a way that's digestible, I feel as though that's a huge win for the science fiction crowd. And
for Drew Goddard to take the novel and make it as just as entertaining and engaging as it is, that's a real testament to good screenwriting.
That's it. That's our review for Project Hail Mary.
Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, comment below. What is your favorite space film? What do you feel about Project Hail Mary?
And how y'all feeling about Ryan Gosling? Is he finally breaking past, with the chains that's been holding him back for so long? I hope so, because the man, he deserves some wins.
Let's discuss. And we can discuss those on those other social media outlets of Threads, Instagram, and Letterboxd for all the content we don't necessarily post on this channel.
See y'all later.
See you.